In the heart of an African village, there lurked a terror more profound than the darkest night, a woman whose gaze could strip away the very essence of manhood from any who dared meet her eyes. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled beneath the swaying palms and rustling grasslands of the African savanna, there lived a woman whose beauty was said to rival that of the goddesses themselves. Her name was Adanna, and her presence was a balm to the eyes of all who beheld her. But beneath her enchanting facade lay a secret darker than the shadows cast by the towering baobab trees. For Adanna possessed a power unlike any other, a power that could steal away the very essence of manhood from any unfortunate soul who dared to meet her gaze. It began innocently enough, with whispers of strange occurrences echoing through the thatched roofs and mud brick walls of the village huts. Men would return from the fields, their once vibrant spirits drained and their bodies withered like wilted flowers. At first, the villagers dismissed these tales as nothing more than the fanciful imaginings of weary minds. But as the days turned to weeks and the weeks to months, the truth could no longer be denied. Something sinister was afoot in their midst. I was but a young boy when I first heard the whispers of Adanna's curse. My father would gather with the other elders beneath the shade of the village tree, their brows furrowed with worry as they spoke in hushed tones of the mysterious affliction that had befallen so many of our menfolk. As the months passed, the once bustling village began to resemble a ghost town, with only the women and children daring to brave the streets by day. The men, once the pillars of our community, had become little more than hollow shells of their former selves, their once proud strides reduced to feeble shuffles, their voices reduced to mere whispers. But even as fear gripped the hearts of our people, there were those who refused to succumb to despair. Led by the indomitable spirit of our village chief, a band of brave souls set out to confront the source of our torment and put an end to Adanna's reign of terror once and for all. It was a perilous journey fraught with danger at every turn, but the stakes could not have been higher. For if we failed, our village would be doomed to wither and fade like the leaves of the acacia tree. At long last, we arrived at the edge of the dense forest where Adanna was said to dwell, her lair hidden deep within its shadowed depths. With hearts pounding and hands trembling, we pressed forward into the gloom, guided only by the light of the full moon shining down upon us like a beacon of hope in the darkness. As we ventured deeper into the forest, the air grew thick with a palpable sense of dread, as though the very trees themselves were watching us with malevolent intent. And then, at last, we came upon her, Adanna, the source of our suffering, standing before us with a gaze as cold and unforgiving as the steel blade of a warrior's spear. In that moment, I felt a chill run down my spine unlike any I had ever known, for I knew that we stood on the precipice of a confrontation that would determine the fate of our village for generations to come. But even as fear threatened to consume me whole, I found strength in the faces of my companions, brave men and women who had risked everything to stand against the darkness that threatened to engulf us. With a roar that echoed through the forest like the thunder of a mighty storm, our village chief charged forward, his spear held high above his head as he prepared to do battle with the witch who had stolen away the very essence of our manhood. But Adanna was no mere mortal woman. She was a creature of darkness, a being whose power transcended the bounds of human understanding. With a flick of her wrist, she sent our chief sprawling to the forest floor, his spear clattering to the ground beside him as he gasped for breath. In that moment, I knew that all hope was lost, for how could we hope to defeat a foe whose power was beyond our comprehension? But then, from the shadows stepped a figure unlike any I had ever seen, a woman with eyes as fierce as the flames of a raging fire, her skin as dark as the midnight sky. She was Adanna's sister, a powerful sorceress in her own right, and she had come to aid us in our hour of need. With a wave of her hand, she summoned forth a whirlwind of energy that engulfed Adanna in a blinding light, stripping away the dark magic that had ensnared her and restoring the stolen manhood of our village men. And so, with the curse broken and Adanna's reign of terror brought to an end, our village was finally free to rebuild and thrive once more. But though the scars of our ordeal may never fully heal, we will never forget the bravery of those who stood against the darkness and emerged victorious in the end.